So you guys have been asking for it. It's time to rate your teams. What's up guys, and welcome to JNO United, bringing you the best in football news, entertainment and games. And today we're going to rate some of your sides. We've got 4 sides lined up for you today. You know who you are. Left that in for you. But before we get into that, make sure to subscribe if you're new to this channel and leave your comments about the players I rate in these people's sides, and let's get right into it. Now unfortunately I've only been able to do 4 teams this episode because I don't want the episode to go too long. I will do some more rate my team episodes, but the response has been ridiculous, so I'm not sure I'll be able to rate everyone's sides. In fact, I'm pretty sure I won't be able to rate everyone's sides. What I will try and do is reply to your tweets though if I don't rate your sides in an episode. If I just show you my notifications, you can see that I have had an absolute bucket load of rate my team requests. So basically the way I've done this is I have saved every single screenshot that has been sent to me, and I'm just going to randomly pick teams to rate. And so I think that's the fairest way for me to decide which teams to rate. So no one has been favoured. This is completely random. Let's rate the first side. So first off, we're looking at Emmanuel Bayou's side. So we're starting off with Ben Foster in goal and Jakupovic as the backup keeper. Now Jakupovic, I'm not sure he's played a lot of games last season. He definitely isn't in the press anyway, first choice goalkeeper, 4-hole. So the only real use I see for him is to have him as just a 4 million option there that you're never going to use, just so you've got more money elsewhere. Ben Foster, however, is a very good goalkeeper who, if he doesn't get injured, could get you a lot of clean sheet points. It could be a season though that West Brom don't keep the amount of clean sheets they usually do. You never know. Things can change in football, but Ben Foster is definitely a good shout, and I think a lot of the teams have gone for Ben Foster. The problem with Jakupovic, for me anyway, is on Who Scored it says that he is weak at saving close range shots, and now that they've stepped up a league and the quality of the attacks they're coming up against are going to increase, I think there's going to be a lot more shots from inside the box than Hull are used to in the Championship. So I don't see Jakupovic as a viable option as someone you actually want to be in your starting 11. We then have his defence, which has Johnny Evans, Neil Taylor, John Terry, George Fiend and Juan Carlos Paredes. Hopefully I got them all right. Now my big worry about this defence is you're doubling up on West Brom. I'm never sure it's a good idea to double up on any team at the beginning of the season, just because you never know how things could turn out. Last season was completely different from any season beforehand. Leicester and Tottenham doing amazing, and a lot of the big teams faltered. So if you had doubled up on Chelsea's defence last year, you'd have probably thought you were pretty certain of keeping clean sheets, and then it would have failed on you. Also, you've got Macaulay there as well for Johnny Evans, who I think is just a little bit more of a goal threat, purely because he's a bit more clinical with his attempts on goal last season. Neil Taylor, I'm worried he's a rotation risk. Swansea also have the likes of Angel Rangel, I probably said that so wrong, and Carl Norton. So is he a nailed on option? Yes, he had a good Euro 2016. Yes, he had a good season last season, but is he going to be a nailed on first choice? And with John Terry, 24 appearances last year, I think that number's just going to keep going down as he reaches his advanced years. So I'm not sure John Terry's the best Chelsea coverage you could pick as a defender. I've no problem with George Friend as a viable option as a 4.5 defender. He will be bombing down the left, but he only had 1 goal and 1 assist last season. So I would look for someone with a bit more of a goal threat, but he's a 4.5 million defender. You're making room for better players elsewhere. And Paredes, high ownership because of his price, but is he going to start? He has a lot of competition in that Watford side. He's definitely not nailed on and only had 7 starts last season, so I wouldn't risk Paredes myself. Moving on to the midfield, he has Riyad Mahrez, Andre Ayew, Roberto Firmino, Eden Hazard and Pierre-Emile Højbjerg. Now Riyad Mahrez, if you don't know his stats from last season, you probably weren't playing last season. Easily the best midfielder to have last season, cheap and got 240 points, 17 goals and 11 assists. It's an incredible record. But are Leicester City going to be as strong this season? I think attacking wise they could be. I think defensively they're probably going to concede more goals than they did last season. But I think attacking wise they've kept the majority of their main attacking threat. So I think they could be a good option up front as long as Riyad Mahrez stays. If he goes, then even Jamie Vardy, I think his output is going to drop. Andre Ayew is a great choice because he's often fielded as a striker if you're looking long term. But apart from the first two fixtures, unless you're playing an early wild card, Swansea's early fixtures aren't that promising. That being said though, 12 goals and 5 assists, and I'm pretty sure Swansea had a good start to last season despite playing the likes of Man United. Another plus is he's also been amongst the goals in pre-season. With Roberto Firmino, there's the possibility that he's going to be played as a false 9. If he is, that will greatly increase his attacking output, but Sadio Mane is also a viable option for that false 9 for Jurgen Klopp, so who knows who's going to get that, but definitely a good shout there. His average points per game as well have been quite good under Jurgen Klopp. Another problem though is Wijnaldum is now at Liverpool and he was more clinical than Firmino last season at a worse side. So if Wijnaldum is played more advanced up the pitch than people are expecting him to be, then maybe he would be an option to pick as well. Eden Hazard had a good end to the season, but other than that, and other than Euro 2016, he was very disappointing last year, which is why his price has dropped, which is why a lot of people are hoping he returns to form, because he's someone that could get you over 200 points as a midfielder. And the thing is, what are the other options in midfield? You've got Cesc Fabregas, Oscar, Willian and Juan Cuadrado, and really I think Eden Hazard is definitely the midfielder you want to go with out of those lot, because you just don't know how the other's going to perform. Fabregas did have a good season the year before last with 19 assists, but I'm not 100% sure he's going to repeat that anytime soon. And Højbjerg, he has a high ownership for a 4.5 midfielder. He has a strong reserve team goal record at Bayern Munich, but not first team when he went on loan to, I think it was Schalke. So it depends how he's played at Southampton, and it's also not an easy midfield to get into, but it's possible that he could turn out to be a decent goal threat at 4.5 million. We'll have to wait and see. Then up front you have Romelu Lukaku, Sergio Aguero and Andre Gray. Now Romelu Lukaku was probably the fourth best striker last season after the likes of Aguero, Kane and Vardy. He's definitely someone that will score goals in the Premier League. You can not question that. Will Coman get a better output from him as far as goals go? I think that's a possibility. So Lukaku is definitely a good choice as your mid-price striker. Now Aguero, enough has been said about Aguero by hundreds of people. He's the most consistent and most prolific striker when he's fit, and he can really hurt your standings if you don't have him, because his ownership will be sky high. As far as Andre Gray, great goal scoring record last season in the Championship, 24 goals in total. He has a decent ownership, and a lot of that probably has something to do with the fact that he scored 8 goals this pre-season. But Burnley's pre-season games have not been that tough, so that might be why he scored so many goals in pre-season. The next person's team we're going to rate is Maurice Lindsay, and I'm not going to look at the players I've already mentioned, but we'll look at the players that are new to his side from the previous sides. Now he's got Jakubovic in goal as well, but we've got De Gea as his main option. Now De Gea had 15 clean sheets last season, but still points wise he wasn't one of the best goalkeepers, and that's because he didn't have many saves to make, and saves get you those bonus points. The Mourinho effect could mean that the defence is still very solid, so the clean sheets are still a good possibility, but the lack of save points will hurt his overall score if that is the case. Now if it goes the other way and they're more attacking, especially with the likes of Ibrahimovic and Mkhitaryan, then maybe the save points will go up, and then that will increase his total score if he can keep around the same clean sheets. In defence he has Wes Morgan, Ashley Williams, Papa Soare, George Friend and Juan Carlos Paredes. Now with Wes Morgan he's a popular mid-choice option, but I worry without Kante that defence is not going to be as solid. Also you have Champions League football now, which means they'll be stretched a lot more than they were last season, where they didn't have to worry about European football. So Wes Morgan could be still a great option, but I would personally wait and see myself until I put him into my side. Ashley Williams has great bonus point potential, was one of the best defenders for bonus points last season. But apart from the first 2 fixtures, which I think are quite easy for them, Swansea do have a tough run in, so I think he's only really an option if you're going to wildcard early. And then Papa Soirée, favourable fixtures definitely, but he doesn't really have a goal threat. So if you're just going for the clean sheets off of the favourable early fixtures, then he's a great choice at his price. But if you're looking for someone with more point potential, then you might want to go with someone else. Then we move on to his midfield, and we've got Andre Ayew again, with the likes of Christian Eriksen, Kevin De Bruyne, Henrik Mkhitaryan and Jonathan Lekeu. Now, Kevin De Bruyne last season had 7 goals and 9 assists, and he only had 25 appearances to score them in. So if he has a full season, he's definitely a player that could be a must-have in midfield. Only 3 players created more chances than he did, and he only had 25 appearances. And the fixtures are favourable early on in the season, so Kevin De Bruyne is definitely a good choice. I can't argue with that. Henrik Mkhitaryan comes to the Premier League with a great goal and assist threat. You can watch my player analysis on him, which was released on the weekend. He has a higher ownership than Martial as well, but Martial has a very good goal conversion rate from last season, so it's one of those things, both at the same price, which one do you go with? Christian Eriksen is often overlooked, but last season only Payet and Ozil created more chances than Eriksen. Eriksen's goal conversion rate isn't very good because he has a penance for long shots, but other than that, Christian Eriksen is a great player. I know there's a bit of worry over his contract at the moment though, so he may not be as invested this season as he has been previously. And you've got Dele Alli at the same price, whose goal threat was a lot higher last season. And then you've got Jonathan Lekeu. He's been ever present this pre-season for West Brom. He got a few starts at the end of last season as well. Cheap option. As a winger, he's going to be a lot more attacking than the likes of Darren Fletcher, who is a very popular option as a cheap midfielder. And if he does well, he has the benefit that not a lot of players have picked him. So if you're looking for someone that could climb you up those rankings that is that cheap, he would be someone to consider, but the problem is, are you going to play him, or if you just put him there to be a 5th midfielder on the bench? And then the front 3 is very similar to the last team. The only difference is Shane Long. He's got Aguero and Andre Gray as well, but Shane Long could be an amazing attacking choice this season. Now, Southampton do have the likes of Charlie Austin and Jay Rodriguez, and Shane Long is coming off of Euro 2016, so he may not start at the beginning of the season. But if he does start, and if he is first choice, Shane Long could be a great pick as a striker at his price. The next team we get onto is Ralph Dworkin. Now, Kasper Schmeichel had a great season last season. He had 15 clean sheets and 101 saves. Now, with Kante gone, if Leicester's defence still managed to get that same amount of clean sheets, Kasper Schmeichel's save points could go up, because without Kante, I don't think the defence is going to be as solid. I just think that's inevitable. So Kasper Schmeichel could be an even better option this year if he manages to rake up those saves. In defence, he has George Friend, Bakary Sagna, Luke Shaw, Craig Dawson and Kone from Sunderland. Now, Bakary Sagna, I worry about rotation yet again, and City's defence were a bit erratic last season. Is Pep Guardiola going to go for an attacking lineup, and will Man City keep clean sheets? I'm just not 100% sure about that, and I think there's better options in that Man City defence if you're looking for goals and assists. Luke Shaw only played 5 games last season, but on average he got 5.4 points in those games, so there's definitely potential there for him to be a good pick. And then Craig Dawson, he's a bit of a fantasy football darling. At 5 million, he has great goal threat, potential for assists as well, and he's quite good at getting bonus points. All pluses in a side that are known for getting clean sheets or being focused on defence, but there are 4.5 million options in that defence. It's all a matter of fact of if you want to spend 5 million on a West Brom defender. In midfield, he has Andros Townsend, Anthony Martial, Roberto Firmino, Cesc Fabregas and Darren Fletcher. Now, with Andros Townsend, 4 goals and 2 assists in 12 appearances for Newcastle last season, that is quite good for someone at a side that got relegated at the end of the day. Andros Townsend definitely looks hungry, and I think he must play for the price he was bought at, so I think he could be an explosive option, especially as the fixtures are looking quite good for Crystal Palace early in the season. Anthony Martial, I've already mentioned, had a great goal conversion rate, with the creativity around him increased with the likes of Mkhitaryan and Ibrahimovic. The goals could go up. If he gets more than 11 goals this season, he might be a must-have. And on the plus side, he gets an extra point now because he's a midfielder for every goal he scores. With Cesc Fabregas, you're looking at a return to the 2014-2015 form, which saw him get 19 assists. I'm not sure that's going to happen, but with Kante coming in, if Kante and Matic play as the two holding midfielders, maybe Fabregas will be more advanced up the pitch. If he is, Fabregas could be a steal in his position. There's also the possibility he gets dead ball duties as well. And then Darren Fletcher's a very popular cheap option in your midfield. He's got a certainty of starts and he got 1 goal and 3 assists last season. But the thing is, West Brom's wings could offer more point potential at the same price. And then up front you've got Romelu Lukaku and Sergio Aguero again, and then you've got Charlie Austin. Now Charlie Austin has scored 2 goals in pre-season, so if he gets that starting berth, then potentially he could be the Southampton striker you want to go with. And then finally, because I've been recording for a while, Tom Sykes. Your team is the final team on Rate My Team, and he starts in goal with De Gea and Jakupovic, which I'm not going to cover because I've already talked about them. The defence is very similar to other people's defences. You've got Wes Morgan, Ashley Williams, Luke Shaw, Juan Carlo Paredes, and the difference in your defence is Nicolas Otamendi. Now, Nicolas Otamendi last season had a great goal threat. He had 21 efforts inside the box, but he only scored 1, which means his goal conversion is very poor compared to other defenders. There's also the possibility that John Stones comes in, and he's only priced at 5 million in fantasy football, and if he starts over Otamendi, then Otamendi will be a transfer you have to make out of your side. In midfield you have Andros Townsend, Henrik Mkhitaryan, Kevin De Bruyne, Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, and Gylfi Sigurdsson. Now Gylfi Sigurdsson is the new man in that midfield, and he is a very consistent player in fantasy football. He scored 11 goals last year and got 4 assists. Only 4 midfielders in the game had more shots on target than he did. But after the first 2 fixtures, he has bad fixtures to play with, so he's more of a choice if you're wildcarding early. And then up top you've got Shane Long, Andre Gray and Sergio Aguero, which I've already covered in this video. Anyway guys, thank you so much for tuning in as always. I will try and get some more Rate My Team episodes out, but you guys are giving me so much content to work with. I've got other videos planned that we'll see if we can get more Rate My Teams in. I've been JNO, you've been awesome, and remember, it's all about the game.